Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Tezvov Amud Beis, 4 lines from the top. After seeing the Mishnah teaching us that Sifrei Kodesh, the books of Tanakh, can be saved from a deleka on Shabbos, from a fire on Shabbos, we had a discussion in our Gemara, a Machlokes Amoim, which really was a Machlokes Tanoim, whether Sifrei Kodesh that were translated into other language could be saved from a fire on Shabbos. Now the Gemara brings a brisa speaking about other items that cannot be saved from a deleka on Shabbos. Tanu Rabbanon habrachos v'hakmein afal pi sheyesh bohen oisia shel shem ume'anyonos harbe shebetorah ein motzilin oison mibnei hadeleka. Even though brachos and those that are put in amulets have different sections of the Torah, nonetheless, they cannot be saved from a fire on Shabbos. Rather, you must let them burn in the fire, they and their shemos that they have contained within themselves. Mikan Omru, from here it was stated, Koisvei Brochos kesarfei Torah. Those who write brochos are like they are writing things that will be burnt in the Torah, meaning to say that since it was at that point in time prohibited from writing down the oral tradition, including brochos, and since these brochos cannot be saved if there's a fire that occurs on Shabbos, therefore one who writes down brochos would be as if he is then burning the sarfei Torah. There's a Maisa being told in the Gemara about somebody who wrote brochos in the city of Tzidon. Bo v'hoidiu as Rabbi Yishmael. They went and they revealed this to Rabbi Yishmael. V'holach Rabbi Yishmael lebodka. Rabbi Yishmael went out to then determine if this was so. Kishahaya oile besulam hirgish boy. When he went up the ladder, this person then felt that Rabbi Yishmael was coming after him. Notal tumus shel brochos v'shokon b'safel shel mayim. He took a bunch of these brochos and he put them together into a body, into a cup, into a trough of water, and he let them become disintegrated in that water. Kishaya Ubeloshin hazeh Omar lo Rabbi Yishmael. In this language, Rabbi Yishmael said to him, Godol oynesh ha'acharoi min harishon. Worse is the punishment for the second avera that you did than the first one. Granted, what you did was wrong in terms of writing down the brachos, but even what you did afterwards, subsequently, was worse by putting them into water and then having them becoming erased in the water. Boy mine Reish Galusa mirabba bar Rav Huna. The Reish Galusa asked Rav bar Huna the following question: Hayuksuvin besam ubesikra bekumus v'kankontoim beloshen hakodesh. We learned until now that the Sifrei Kodesh, if they're not written in loshen hakodesh, we said there's a machlokes whether they can be saved from a fire. What about if the Sifrei HaKodesh are written in Lashon HaKodesh, but with a different type of ink, not the proper ink of Diyoi, but other inks? Can they then be saved from a fire on Shabbos? Matzilin or some Deleka or a Matzilin? Can they be saved or not? Tiboy leman da'omar Matzilin, Tiboy leman da'omar a Matzilin. This would be a question according to the opinion that says they could be Matzilin. Those Sifrei Kodesh were translated, as well as those Sifrei Kodesh that are translated according to the Mandamar that says they cannot be saved. This would be a kasha, a question rather, to each one. Tiboy leMandamar ein matzilin. It would be a question according to the one who says you cannot save those that were translated because hani mili heichedik sive targum ubekol loshen. That's because you wrote in a targum in all the loshen, which means that it could not be read, and therefore you can't be matzilin either. Aval hocha deksive beloshen hakodesh matzilin. But here, since it is written in lashon hakodesh, and it could be read, it's just written in a different type of ink that won't be lasting the same type of ink that's used in Sifrei Torah. So maybe you could be matzilit. Or even according to Manda Omer, who says you could normally matzil even those that were translated from Lashon HaKodesh. Hanimili heicha dechsiv b'diyoi the mekayim aval hocha kiven the lo mekayim loy. When did they say you can be matzil? When it was written in diyoi, even though it was translated. But if it's not written in diyoi, it doesn't have the same chashivus, and therefore it wouldn't be considered to be a bizoyon in the same way, whereby you cannot matzil such a sefer that's written in Lashon HaKodesh with a different type of ink. Omar le ein matzilin. He answered the Reish Galusa that you cannot save such a sefer that was written in different types of inks. Veho Rav Hamnuna Tana matzilin. He said Rav Huna, he did say that you could be matzil such sifrei kodesh that were written in different types of ink. Omar le itanya tanya. If indeed there is a brisa teaching that teaches this, then he says, then there's a teaching, and therefore I'm going to then obviously I'll be subordinate to that teaching. My Tanya, now the Gemara wants to know what is that brisa that we're referring to that taught that you can write in any different type of language and you can still be matzil the sefer. Omar Rav Ashi kidetanya, ein bein svarim lemegillah elo she'asvarim nichtavim b'kol lashon. There's no difference between writing Svarim and the Megillah, except for that Svarim can be written in any language, whereas Megillah cannot. It goes on to say, Megillah achetehe ksuva ashuris ala sefer ubidyoy. And Megillah has to be written with ashuris lettering and with diyoy type of ink. Mashma, therefore, that all other Svarim can be written in other types of inks. So therefore, from here we can see that indeed such a sefer would then be something that can, yes, be saved from a fire on Shabbos. Boy minei Rav Huna bar Chaluv me Rav Nachman. He asked Rav Nachman the following question: Sefer Torah she'ein boy lelaket shmoinim v'chamesh oisiyos. If a Sefer Torah is such that it became erased and there's only 85 letters that if you'd gather them all together would be 85 in total. Kigon Parshas Vayi bin Saharon, which is the summation of all of the letters of the Parsha of Vayi bin Saharon. This is used as the example because there's an opinion that we'll soon see that says that Vayi bin Saharon, that's a Parsha that's a Sefer in itself. In other words, of the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, in Sefer Bamidbar, you can actually say that there are 3 Svarim, because the Sefer before Vayi bin Sarah, the Vayi bin Sarah, the Psukim there, that is Sefer in itself, and the Sefer that's after those Psukim. So those 3 Svarim together with the other 4 Svarim make 7 Svarim in total. Whereby, again, Vayi bin Sarah Ha'aron is an example of 85 letters. So he's asking, can you save such a sefer that then was erased, where you're only left with 85 letters, or not? Omale v'tiboy loch parshas Vayi bin Sarah Ha'aron gufa. Why are you saying such an example? Why don't you ask with the sefer of Vayi bin Sarah Aaron itself? If that is 85 letters, ask whether you can save such a sefer or not. If let's say you only had those letters, you only had those psukim alone. Heicha dechaser parshas Vayi bin Sarah loki boile. I wasn't asking if it has the parsha of Vayi bin Sarah. Why? Because that has the Shemos HaKadoshim of Hashem. The kivan the is be'az karois. Even if they would not have chamisha shonim v'chamesh oisiyos, since they have the shemos of Hashem, therefore they would be chayiv to be saved. I'm asking about if you have 85 letters that do not have the shem of Hashem in it. Ki komi boy li sefer Torah she'ein bo lelaket. What's the din in such a case? Omar le ein matzilin. He says you cannot save such a sefer on Shabbos from a fire. Esve, he asked of the following brisa: Targum shekosvu mikro, a targum that was written in Lashon HaKodesh, or mikra shekosvu targum, or Lashon HaKodesh that was targum, the kosav ivris, the ksav ivris, and a ksav of ivris, which is a different lettering than the Lashon HaKodesh. Matzilin mipnei hadaleka. You can save such a sefer from a deleka. Ve'in sarich lomar targum shebe Ezra v'shebe Daniel shebe Torah. And certainly you don't have to say the targum that's written in these Svarim of Daniel and in Ezra certainly can save them as well. So Targum Shebet my Nihu. Ask the Gemara, what is a Targum in the Torah that this is referring to? Yagar Sahadusa. Yagar Sahadusa, that's written in Sefer Bereshis, that is written in Targum form in the Sefer Torah itself. And it's Aramaic. And even though it does not have 85 oisios, it can still be saved. According to this brisa, answers the Gemara, Kitanya Hila Hashlim. That's talking about these words of Yagar Sahadusa, which is being mashlim in the parsha. It's not talking about them themselves. Iboy Luhu, the Gemara asks, these 85 letters that we're talking about, are they in one place or are they scattered about? Rabbi Huna Omar Mechunosos, Rav Chizda Omar Afilu Mifuzoros. It's a machlekes. Rav Huna says that they are close by. Those are the 85 letters that we're talking about. Whereas Rav Chizda says even if they're scattered about. Says the Gemara Meisvei, we have a kasha. Sefer Torah Shebola, it became worn out. Im yesh bo lelaket shmoinim v'chamesh oisios. If you can gather 85 letters, could go in Parshas Vayibin Sarah on Matzilin. The 85 letters that we know have the summation of in the Parsha of Vayibin Sarah Aram. Can you go ahead and gather them together? If you can, then you can be Matzilin. So over here we see that even if they're not right in close vicinity, but they're scattered about. Vimlav ein matzilin. To Yufta the Rav Huna Kasha, a refutation of Rav Huna says they have to be close together. Tirgama Rav Chizda, Ali Rav Huna Rav Chizda answers on behalf of his Bar Plukta Rav Huna, and he says, Betevois. This Bryce is talking about Tevois, not letters, but rather words. But indeed, if it's letters, they could be close by, and therefore it won't be a refutation on his Bar Plukta Rav Huna.